I think there is a first step, which is the fact that we don't know what consciousness is. And our understanding of consciousness is based on, as you said, embodiment, the idea of the self. And this comes from the fact that our definition is anthropocentric. So because humans live in a body, they have a memory, we wake up every day always in the same body with the same personality, and we have this feeling of pain and emotions, then we believe that you need all of these components to be conscious. In the idea of AI, why does AI need to have a body in order to be conscious? If we did build an AI that is conscious, it could, for example, transfer itself through different tools. It could, for instance, be present in a house and move from the car to the humanoid robot to the fridge to something else. And it could still, and perhaps doesn't even have some sort of emotions in the way that we perceive it as a human. So the point is that there might be other beings in the universe that are not humans, that are not AI, that have a consciousness, and whose definition of consciousness is completely different. So I think that we don't know what consciousness is, so we need to be very careful. But my second part of the question is, if me and you wanted to create an AI that is actually conscious, what would we embed into the AI in order to justify that it is conscious?
Yeah, I think that example you just gave made me think about this in a slightly different way. So if an AI that moved from the kitchen fridge to the car and back again, I think maybe we can cut all of that embodiment stuff and the feeling of senses out. That's not necessarily required for consciousness. If you think about it like that, the only thing you start to think of an AI as conscious when it has agency, when it has wants and desires of its own.
Mm-hmm.
And to have wants and desires of its own, it has to have a sense of itself and continuity. So it has to be, I am me and I am still me 10 minutes later, right? So that AI isn't just like 2 iterations of ChatGPT launched in the fridge and then another one launched in the car. It is one entity that moves from the fridge to the car and it's still itself. So that starts to feel a bit more conscious to me when it has wants and goals and it has continuous self-perception, right? Maybe those are the 2 key things. That's what starts to feel instinctively like what we would think of as consciousness for a machine, right? Even if the back end is working completely differently, if it still has that sense of self somehow arising from that alien back end that doesn't work like a human brain, but still nonetheless it has that sense of self, and it's got wants and goals, then you start to think, actually, it's starting to look a bit more like consciousness to me.
We are starting to touch on a more practical understanding of consciousness in AI. It's really important that you mentioned consciousness, right? Because we did talk about the idea that you can take the human thoughts and embed them into a machine. And so is this machine then conscious? And I think that the answer to that is no. The machine is not conscious, but it's just a representation in time of what the thoughts and neural connection of this human being were when the transfer happened. Now, consciousness is based on the stream of consciousness. So the idea that the consciousness is iterating and completely changing and evolving as time goes by. And so willingness then becomes the representation, the manifestation of this stream of consciousness, the fact that you have a goal and you are striving to achieve this goal.